Welcome back. You're still watching TV47. This is TV47 Breakfast with me, Freddy Ndimuli. I'm still in studio with Wakili Joshua Nyamori, Omar Haji, who's an aspirant for the Langata parliamentary seat, and Wakili Fanyamambu Kinodia, who's an aspirant for the Dagoretti South seat. And Wakili Nyamori is also an aspirant for the Kisumu Central parliamentary seat. But now we want to focus on Vision 2060. Today, 12th of August, as promised by President William Ruto, we begin the conversation. We're not talking about the blueprint just yet, just the conversation towards the future of our vision in Kenya. But coming just as we kick off the one-year countdown to the next election, many people may, of course, the political class who do not agree with the president, may disadvantage this conversation by pointing out the weaknesses, failures, or even just staying away from the conversation altogether. Don't you think that that is a disadvantage to such a conversation that should be all-inclusive, and probably that it should come at a time when people are more accepting of each other?
Yeah, Fred, I think the question we should ask is, do we need a vision into the future? My answer would be yes, we need a vision into the future. Should we delay coming up with a vision into the future, especially considering the fact that the vision we had, which was Vision 2030, has just a few years to end, for the period to end? My view is that we cannot delay it. And why? It is because the future has new challenges. And some of those challenges were not envisaged when we were crafting Vision 2030. For instance, there was no AI when we were crafting Vision 2030. We did not envisage the current impact of climate change. We did not envisage the instability in global trade and change in the global trade. And then several, the level of population explosion and youth unemployment that is arising out of population explosion may have not been properly envisaged at that time. So we cannot delay to come up with a new vision. There is never a right time. This is the time. Now then, the president has not presented us, in your own words, has not presented us with a blueprint and asked us to adopt. What the president has said is that we need to come together as Kenyans to draft a new vision. And he said that the conversation about this drafting of the new vision, while it will be led by experts, and we have very respectable experts, including my own governor, who has at some point been, a minister for planning in this country, and Professor Chega, Michael Chega, very well respected, expert. While the experts will lead it, he would want the conversation to take place everywhere, amongst experts, amongst professionals, amongst the business community, amongst civil society, down to the villages and the neighborhoods and the markets and the streets. And we are hoping that this will be a conversation that unites Kenyans. The other thing the president has said is that analyzing, the vision we have had and the conversation we have had in this country after the enactment of 2010 Constitution, and it will be the new national vision that we are having after the 2010 Constitution, we have been focused on the political aspects of the implementation of our Constitution. Basically, how do we get power or retain power, and then how do we constrain power? The president is asking Kenyans, could we now, turn the discussion around and discuss what power needs to deliver to Kenyans. Specifically focus on Article 43, which promises us socioeconomic rights. And in focusing on socioeconomic rights, come up with a charter. Is it possible that the conversation could come up with a charter so that when we talk about the right to housing, we are able to measure what would we then say is the standard upon which leadership and government will be said to have contributed or achieved that, especially considering that, the rights under Article 43 are said to be progressive rights, so that we are able to measure, we are able to hold leadership to account, and that this does not depend on President William Ruto. This is a matter that anybody who takes over power, even after 2032, when the president retires, should be able to continue with. So it is a conversation that, Rigathi Gachagua, Matiang'i, Kalonzo Musyoka, Edwin Sifuna, Orengo, and any other person should be comfortable to sit.
Do you see that happening?
Let me just finish. Should be comfortable to sit on the table and engage with. And that beyond sloganeering and grievance, uttering grievance, we should be able to sit and ask ourselves, where do we need to go as a country? And what do we need to do for our people? And that after that, each and every one of you could then come and tell Kenyans how you will achieve this vision. Unfortunately, the people who call themselves opposition do not have alternative ideas. When the president says, let's come up with a national charter for delivery of Article 43, yes, they will go into sloganeering. In an ideal situation, that is what should happen.
Yes. But in such a case where we have campaigns, very polarizing campaigns, do you see that happening? And is that the ideal environment where a vision should be crafted? Is
it a discussion that a Kenyan in the streets and the villages need? It is a discussion that we need.
Yes.
Okay? And therefore, it is a discussion that Kenyans should have. If one leader decides to keep off that discussion, it is all up to him, but Kenyans should have this discussion. And then I'm hoping that out of this discussion, Kenyans will then be able to measure, the rhetoric and test the rhetoric that politicians come up with in public rallies and other platforms.
Raila Odinga had even suggested a conclave, coming together of the nation. And at that point, we were not at this politically polarizing moments. There are moments where people need to come together, probably immediately after an election, where there are calls for reconciliation, and such conversations could be had in a more conducive environment. Do you think that this one is misplaced?
To start with, when I used to agree with Raila Amolo Odinga on everything else, but when the conclave was called, I said no. And the reason I said no is that they had come up with a 10-point agenda, including the protection of our civil liberties and the right to associate and so on and so forth. He was sitting in a government with William Ruto, and people were being abducted left, right, and center. The death of Albert Ojwang happened at around the time when Raila Odinga was asking for a conclave. I said, wait a minute. This BAMBA I supported has changed since he started working with William Ruto. And since I never wanted to fight BAMBA, and I'll never fight him even in his grave, I decided never to work with that administration. And that's where I drew the line, and I said, my support for BAMBA ends where his relationship with William Ruto begins. Okay? But BAMBA as a person, I still continue to hold him in very high esteem. So conclave was a bad idea. Why would you want us to discuss with William Ruto at a time when his administration was still abducting young children? People were being put in Subarus, people were being killed. He's declaring risasi ya Mugu, and then he's saying, let's have a conclave. So it was a waste of energy, it was a waste of our resources. It was the wrong idea, it shouldn't have happened. So, and that does not mean that I stopped respecting BAMBA. I stopped respecting his relationship with William Ruto. And to me, my support for him ends where his relationship with William Ruto begins. Now, I agree we need to have a national dialogue and conversation. But what I don't agree is who should be in that room. Because the first person who should be in that room is that army guy, is that soldier, is that policeman, we don't know what he was, who was kneeling down at Parliament holding an AK-47, aiming at the brains of young people and spilling them in tarmac. That guy must be in that room. The nurses who've gone on strike for a very long time because they do not have their pay, yet there's government wasting money and bribing people at State House, need to be in that room. Now, the rice farmers in Mwea, whose rice is rotting in the farm, and this administration is importing 500,000 metric tons of rice, need to be in that room. The people of Mumias, the people of Western, who are suffering with cane rotting in the farms, ask them. and this government is importing sugar need to be in that room. The cops who were present during the death of Albert Ojwang need to be in that room. The parents whose children are missing, more than 200 of them, nobody wants to talk about those parents. And do you know how much pain it is to them until now? And it was written and it was discussed in Parliament that more than 200 young people have been missing since the Gen Z demos. They don't want to have that conversation. Those are the people who need to be in that room. Now, there were men in balaclavas who came to us in Olkalao, and it was said that they are not known somehow, but they were parking their vehicles at the county commissioner's office. Those men need to be in that room. The county commissioner in Olkalao at that point, because these men in balaclavas who were killing our people and they killed two who we buried, need to be in that room. That's the conversation we want to start having today. Now, you know, when Mandela was president, at one point he needed to have his birthday. And he was asked, who are you going to have your birthday with? Mandela said, I want to have one child from one of the poorest African families who is living with HIV/AIDS. So what they did, they had to come home, and they got a child who was first living with HIV/AIDS and very disadvantaged and very poor. So he sat on a table with a collection of such children for his birthday. And I felt this was a living saint. William Ruto is spending his time chauffeuring a guy called Chivayo. Kenyans, go and do your homework, read about him. William Ruto is spending his time with Sudanese rebels at KICC. We even lost tea business worth 5 billion to Sudan. Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. Finally, does the opposition have an agenda? You know the problem with government? If we say things and you don't hear, don't come and blame us. You know, they keep saying that sisi hatuna agenda. We tell them, if your ears have a problem, how can you blame us for not hearing what we are telling you? Mm-hmm. We have always said, and I will say it for the umpteenth time on this television, Kenya tusikizeni, our agenda number one is the protection and preservation of human life. Let us not talk about roads when our people are to be killed. Mm-hmm. Let us not talk about hospitals. The most important agenda we can have as a conversation is a president who shall protect our right to be alive.
All right.
The second one, which is tied to that one, is that we shall be protected from arbitrary arrest, unfortunate beatings, being killed in police cells. So the first agenda is human rights. That the right to life, it begins there. The right to, you know, the protection of our civil liberties. Because let me tell you, in Dimuli, it doesn't matter what you do as a nation. As long as people are being killed, as long as watu wanapigwa risasi ya mguu, there is this MP from Belgut who came and said, hata ifai kuwa risasi ya mguu, they are supposed to be shot to die, and that person is still walking and comfortable. As long as we have cabinet secretaries working in this country and calling others hyenas, and nothing is happening to them, but when Kagushia speaks, there is a battalion of 30 Subaru sent to him in one night. We are not saying that anybody has got a right to speak carelessly. What we are saying is that everybody who speaks carelessly must be treated the same.
All right.
We are waiting to see Subaru's coming for Duale. And finally, we also want a president who is not bringing us diseases. Every other country is fighting to lock out diseases from their country. And there are people so well educated, so polished, like my friend Nyamori here, who is saying that a head of state who goes out of his way to import Ebola into this country is a person who deserves a second chance. Now, that is the kind of thinking that we need to depart from. That for as long as these people are being pleased, they are okay with someone going and literally importing Ebola into a country. The US is trying to keep it as far as possible from themselves. The UK is trying to keep it as far as possible from themselves. We are actually paying the price and say it, bring it to us. And someone is telling you, finally, State House, the person who decides that the best way to go about life is destroying our forests. Go to Kenare here. All our trees have been felled down. Up to after Kijabe Mission Hospital. Really? Everywhere you go, our trees are being felled. Come to Ngong Forest here. Now they have decided, Meru is such a big county that the only place they can build a state house is to destroy Meru Forest. You ask them, why is it necessary for you to come in? I saw the minister in charge of environment the other day coming and saying that we want to cut down 3 acres of trees in Karuro Forest. You know, original trees that were here before creation. Wakate hizo wapande seedlings. And someone is saying that that's an administration that deserves another 5-year term. The conversation that begins today should have those people in the room. Right. Na wale wa Balaklava kama hawako kwa hiyo room, Nyamori ujue ni uongo. We are not having a national conversation. The people who are killing us, the Subaru abductors, kama hawako kwa hiyo conversation leo, hakuna conversation.
The biggest problem with Vision 2030, and many people have said that it was just used as one of those statements that people make. Vision 2030, in every speech you just include Vision 2030 without necessarily buying into the idea. And the president ideally, and I'm not just talking about President William Ruto, any president of this Kenya should ideally be the vision carrier. There are those who criticize President William Ruto and his bottom-up economic transformation agenda, that probably he did not focus on what the original plan was, and he went elsewhere and just kept mentioning Vision 2030 in his speeches. Do you think it's possible for us to come up with a vision that can be ring-fenced for continuity?
It is very, very possible, but this vision must not be one man's vision. This vision should be a shared vision amongst all 60 million Kenyans, that this is the country they want in the next couple of years. So it should be a people-driven vision, you know, public participation. Where is the public participation? You're going to see that this is what he wants for us. Again, this is the biggest problem of this government, where they know what is good for us, but they don't understand and listen to the problems that we're facing on the ground. You understand? So the same situation, they need to have a public participation, involve everybody to come up with a vision that works for all of us. And then we can treat it seriously. We need to sit down together with them and see where we fell short out of the 2030 vision, and tell us why we fell short, and how we can avoid the same mistakes that we did in the 2030, so that we don't repeat them in the 2060. Fred, we have to be intentional about change in this country. People are just talking about Singapore, knowing very well that 800,000 candidates out of 1 million candidates this year are going to drop out according to the COP statistics. Like last year, 8 out of 10 students after high school dropping out after high school. No further training, no further skills improvement, no education, nothing. Just left there looking for an opportunity. You understand? So these are the things that we need to be serious. When we're talking about Singapore, where people have degrees and masters and they're trying to see how many of them can actually do PhDs, then you're looking at Kenya, where, you know, we are preaching Singapore, but we are definitely going to Haiti, as my guy mentioned, you know. So to be honest, I can't take a government seriously, especially a government that is creating so much of atrocities, not really caring for their people, looking out for their interest. I'll remind my colleague here that the problem was not Baba, Raila Odinga. Baba stood firm and did not want this broad-based coalition. But the same people who are now selling this party to William Ruto are the same people that forced Baba and told Baba, how long are we going to be in opposition, Baba? Hii ni chance yetu Baba, tunapata mapositions za CS, tutaka nje miaka ngapi? Walimtia pressure Baba, mimi nakwambia. Some of those leaders that got CS positions did not come out from their houses. They were stating that they were depressed, pushing Baba to tell him that kubali hii maneno. Umeelewa? Baba hakukubali broad-based 100% na roho yake. Alikubali broad-based shingo upande kwa sababu ya few individuals, the same few individuals who are leading Kenyans to the wrong direction. Umeelewa? So to be honest, we need to be sincere with our conversation. Even if Baba, Mungu amregeshe, angeweza kuja sahi, haki ya Mungu angesema tupige U-turn. Kwa sababu mali tunaenda ni pabaya. Okay. So at the end of the day, as these leaders in the broad-based are busy talking about how they will share the cake, we are busy consulting with the Mwananchi. And as my opposition colleague mentioned, we are busy preparing the next Kenya for the Kenyans. Agenda iko, kama ni kila kitu iko, kwani we are not here to joke around. We will not pay the price and then come and make Kenyans suffer the same situation again. We are here to ease their burden. We are here to bring real change. We are here to bring serious business. And anybody who is coming in with another alternative or another agenda will not simply fit into this coalition, because this is a coalition for the people, not a coalition for the leaders.
Yes. And Wakili, I'll take you back to the issue about the role that the president plays in ensuring that a vision is seen to the end, Vision 2030 or even 2060. successive administrations come and go. Critics of President William Ruto have accused him of diluting or shifting away from the original industrialization plan of Vision 2030 and working on more short-term solutions for Mama Mboga and for other people. And the question is it possible to have a vision which everyone can stick to? Or any new administration can come, ignore a vision that the country has to go with and decide to divert or to pursue a different direction?
No. I think a vision is bigger than what any individual administration or leader can focus on. And Vision 2030 was inclusive. And when you talk about industrialization, I'm surprised that anybody could say that President William Ruto has, diverted away from the focus on industrialization. President William Ruto came into power when, the environment under which industrialization can thrive had completely collapsed, and that is that our infrastructure in terms of roads, in terms of ports, in terms of railway, was in a desperate situation, and that contractors had moved out of sites, several sites across the country, because of pending bills. The president spent time to try and correct that and sorted out the pending bills and returned the contractors to site. And he has then rolled out new infrastructure. There is no way you can have industrialization without infrastructure. That is why I keep giving the example of my city of Kisumu, that emerged in 1901 because the railway hit the port. And when the railway hit the port, then it became a conducive environment for manufacturers who depended on raw materials from across the region, and that would be transported by lake to then manufacture in Kisumu and then transport the finished items by rail. So when rail collapsed in Kisumu, then our industrial sector collapsed. When our industrial sector collapsed, then the agricultural sector in Kisumu collapsed, so that rice collapsed, sugarcane collapsed, cotton collapsed. And then, so the president has been very focused that he wants to, reinvigorate the rolling out and development of our infrastructure, so that we could attract investments to support industrialization. And so through supporting industrialization, that we could add value to our agriculture. And that in itself will then create, demand for expansion of commerce and for the expansion of the service industries. And as then allow me to go back, that I now am happy that at least Omar appreciates that there is need for public participation. And the president has been very clear in his initial statement that he made 2 weeks ago, and subsequent statements, that today is the launch of the public engagement on crafting of Vision 2060. There's no blueprint, and it is not a Ruto document that is being produced. We are going to produce a Kenyan document that is owned by Kenyans. I would want to invite Omar and Fanyamambo to then bring their views, their aspirations into the process, sit on the table, not wait to complain when what they think should be in the document is not in the document, simply because they did not take their seats around the table. Okay. As Kisumu City and Kisumu Central, we are bringing to the table our aspects of what should come to the vision of ensuring that then there is equity, and that a resource like Lake Victoria is made more useful to our people, that the rail is finally finalized, that industrialization picks up and our agriculture is shortened so that Kisumu can get back to what it was. But then allow me to end by reminding Fanyamambo that on the issue of grievance, if he wants us to start a grievance engagement, we can start that grievance engagement. And we are not going to start it with 2023. We will start it with 1969, when Kenyatta, Jomo Kenyatta, allowed his bodyguards to, spray bullets and killed 144 innocent people in Kisumu, including school children and women.
Because we are not able to go back to all that and start that.
Yeah, but I'm just making the point that we can start there. And go to the Wagala massacre, and go to the 1,300 Kenyans who were killed during post-election violence, out of which 450, mostly the Luo community, were killed by the police under the supervision of President Kibaki. And then we will talk about the killings under Uhuru Kenyatta all over the country. So these are discussions we can have. Let us.
But we are not having it today.
We are not having it today. Today, let us focus on the vision.
Yes.
But if he wants us to discuss about grievance,
No.
we will definitely
Because of
discuss
time.
it, because we will follow up on all those.
And our time is up.
Fred,
Our
just
time is up.
30 seconds.
Because now we are introducing debate, and I didn't want us to.
We are not introducing a debate. All I would like to say, and with a lot of humility and respect to everybody, please, let us never speak about this nation as if we are helpless. The president is the head of state, and he's in charge of very many agencies. DCI, NIS, everything falls under him. If there is any injustice that has happened in this country, those injustices can be resolved. If Baby Pendo was killed, if there were people in Rivayala, anything, let us not speak as if we are helpless. We are a state with investigative agencies. We are a state that has got the capacity to arrest anybody who kills somebody. I am one person who is happy to see the Jacob Juma family get justice, Baby Pendo family, the Rivayala victims, and so on and so forth. So let us not speak as if some of us are demanding for justice today because we feel that the sins of yesterday should be covered. If anything, anybody who lost a family member last year, whether they are Luo or Kisi or Masai or whatever, as he says, should get justice. And the person in charge of the agencies in charge of security in this country today is the head of state. So he should just tell DCI, look here, can you investigate this one, investigate this one, investigate this one, and let us arrest them. By the way, if anything, any person who killed somebody and threw them in Rivayala should be in jail. Any person who killed Baby Pendo should be in jail, because the family of Baby Pendo deserves justice. Whoever killed Jacob Juba, whoever has caused pain and harm to any family in this country needs to pay for it. So let us not be a country that behaves as if we are helpless, and let us not speak as if we want to say that the things we are fighting for today, we did not fight for them yesterday. From where I sit and how I feel, that a correct nation is a nation where everybody gets justice. And I see this now as a lawyer, not as a person who is in DCP or in any other political formation. I feel that anybody who received any injustice of any form should be able to get justice without there being any selection. Right. And finally, as this conversation is beginning today, because they are going to have it and they are going to do it anyway, let them remember that there's only one thing we are saying, that the people who have not killed us can build roads for us. The people who have not killed us can build hospitals for us. Is it possible for us to go into 2027 and say, regardless of who it is, if you have blood on your hands, step aside? Can we have leaders who are not murderers vying for seats? And there are very many of them.
All right.
And we start on a new thread.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't want
Fred. But then,
we're being driven out of studio, and it's very unfortunate.
Just 1 second. I hope that as he says,
we were talking about Vision 2060.
I hope as he says that, he is not going to forget that Rigathi Gachagua came to the office at 5 o'clock, presided over the killings of Kenyans.
We are not reintroducing that debate. Unfortunately, I'll not allow that one.
When the president was out of the country.
Kenya Vision 2030, 2060, a people-driven national development charter is a discussion today. is a proposed long-term successor to Vision 2030. The main conversation is being launched by President William Ruto today at KICC. We will be broadcasting that event live. And but before that, and yes, you can see that those are live pictures from KICC where the event is set to take place. And it would appear that the president is yet to make his way there, but you can see his team. I'm told that the president has already arrived, and so in the next few minutes, the event will be starting in earnest, and we'll be bringing you this event live on TV47. Allow me to thank my panelists today. Wakili Fanyamambo Kinodhia, who's an aspirant for the Dagoretti South constituency seat, Haji Omar, an aspirant for the Langata constituency seat, and Wakili Joshua Nyamori, an aspirant for the Kisumu Central parliamentary seat. Asanteni sana for your time at TV47, and have a very good morning. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. Good morning as well.